Restyling video tools are more popular than ever. Runway's latest model, as well as tools like Domo AI, have made it really popular. Today, I'll show you 3 free ways to do it on your own hardware using ComfyUI. Let's go. So first up is diffutoon. So this is really going to be a workflow that's kind of converting your videos to like an anime style. All you have to do is go into your ComfyUI manager node, hit the Comfy Nodes manager, and here we're going to search for diffsynth. Alright, so this is it, diffsynth studio. Install both. They're both by the same author, AIFSH. And then we'll hit restart. We go back into the manager and look at that. If we just click this, the title here, it'll pull up the GitHub page for diffsynth studio. What we're going to do is go into this workflows file right here, and we're going to use the diffutoon workflow. So download that right here, hit download, and we'll pull that right into a clean ComfyUI. It's going to look like this. So there's a few things that we need to know about this setup. The plus side is it can generate anime style restyling really fast and efficiently, but the downside is it seems to be like a one-off, so you can't really use any of your other ComfyUI nodes here. These nodes seem to be made for this tool and they only work with this tool. So as long as you don't need to do any extra stuff, that's not an issue. It calls for a very specific checkpoint right here. This checkpoint is probably worth downloading, even though you can change you can select any of your checkpoints. If you change it, it doesn't seem to actually do anything. From what I could tell, it only works with this one checkpoint. And that checkpoint you'll have to download and put into your file. I don't know if this, like why it has all of this. I have this checkpoint, so you can also search for it and download it. I'll leave a link in the description. If you just load up a video and hit Q prompt, you're going to get an error. And this error is saying that I need to load my control net. So it's asking for a tile control net. And even if you put this tile control net here, we'll hit it again, it gives you this very random error. There's no description on this error, I guess assertion error. I think what it's just describing is a few things. First, I think this start is supposed to be when the video starts, and I think this is in seconds. So my video is only 3 seconds long. It doesn't have 40 seconds. If you just set this to 0, I'll queue it up again. All right, that worked. So here is our preview. So it's set to only do a length of 1, which will be 1 second. So it's only going to do the first 1 second of this video. And here you have it. So quick and easy, it gives you this anime style perfectly. Just a few things that I forgot to mention. These control nets are the standard 1.5 control nets. I'll leave a link to where you can download them in the description, and you just place them in your models control net folder. Diffutoon is really great if you're looking for this style. I also wanted to use this for non-human. For example, I have this quick video of a dog right here. So I don't think I can resize this video, which is unfortunate. But let's say I want 2 seconds of this guy. I'll change the length to 2, and you will have to change the prompt. That's it. I'll queue it up and let's see what we get. Okay, so here are our results. I don't know why their preview video, it just stacks all the videos one after another right under each other. But anyway, this is our little 2-second video, and here is our original. Really quick, easy results if you want this tune style. I was able to get a second checkpoint working on this, but I'm actually not sure how. So I do know that I was able to get a repo ID by just searching a checkpoint that I had and going onto Google and searching for it on Hugging Face. So in this case, I did something like this. I would go here, real cartoon 3D, type Hugging Face, click this one. He actually happens to have the Civet ID link, so then I can go in and confirm that this is actually the checkpoint that I want. This repo ID, the first path, is this right here, so you can copy it from here. The second parameter is this, the file name. And that comes in over here. You just copy this. And then the downloading priority is Hugging Face, and the checkpoint name is actually just that same file, but downloading it and putting it into your model's checkpoint folder. Now the only problem is I can't consistently get this to swap out. I'm not sure why. I don't know if you need to put in these parameters and do a restart or do a reload. So that part I'm not sure about yet. I guess if you figure it out, leave a comment and let me know. But it is possible. I'm just not sure how to consistently do it. I've been trying it with other checkpoints, and it only happened once by accident. But that's how I did it. So I just know it's possible. Don't know how to do it all the time. So what if you don't want this specific anime style? I got another option for you. If we go to the ComfyUI manager menu again, we'll go to custom nodes manager, search for fastblend, and this will pop up. So ComfyUI fastblend, install this version. And if we click here, what it's going to do is bring you to the GitHub page. We're going to go to the example and download this smooth video JSON example. Just click this download button and let's just drag that into our ComfyUI. So this is what we see. It'll work with any SD 1.5 model. We're going to load the LCM Loras and then a video here. So I'm going to change this video path just to a regular video load and also a video resize or image resize. And I'll change this empty latent because I want it to take the image from here. What I'll do is right click this, convert widget to input, and we will convert the width and the height. And we'll get the width and height from here. The batch size, which came from this old node's frame count, we'll just replace it with the new node's frame count. And then this node can go right into here. So we no longer need the old load video node. And we can set our width and height. Oh, and then this image goes into here. Okay, so I'll just load up this video of this lady running, and I'm gonna cap the frames at 32 for now. Like I said, it will load any checkpoints. Let's do like a 3D style, and I'll add that into the prompt. So this is change the prompt to match. The one node to really know about this setup is it has this smooth video node. So you may recognize these control net nodes from your normal ComfyUI use, but this is the new node. And what it kind of does is if we run this right now, it's going to convert every frame into this style of a checkpoint. And what that does is it will give you a different image on every frame. So if you remember, or if you were around during earlier days of like video gen, you'll remember very flickery video. And that's because it was regenerating every single frame and not making them consistent. They had no relation to one another. And that's what this is going to do. What the smooth video node does is it's going to take all the flickering frames and try to blend it with the original motion from your input video, and then it'll combine the two into your smooth video. So let's just run this with the running woman right now, and let's see what we get. Cue it up. Okay, I got an error. Oh, because the VAE is not matching. And yes, I have no idea what this anime VAE is. So I tried to search for that. If anybody knows, let me know in the comments. But what you can do is just use this VAE input right here from the load checkpoint. I'll put down a reroute and we'll plug that directly into the VAE decode. So we're bypassing this and just going straight to this VAE. Let's queue that up again. Got another error. Okay, so we need the LCM Lora. Okay, so mine are just in a different folder. I'll leave a link to where you can download the LCM Lora. You just have to make sure that the naming convention is correct. It matches, and if it's not correct, you just reselect it here. Like mine is called something different. Like mine is LCM Lora weights. This is just LCM V 1.5. So I'll just click that right here, and then we should be able to queue it up. Done. Let's see what we got. This is the video before it goes through the smooth video. And I'll also drag over the original video just so that we can compare all three. The flickering video is what we get when we run every single frame through just the checkpoint, and then the smooth video attempts to smooth that out, right? And we actually got pretty great results here. Like you could see it definitely applied some kind of like 3D-ish effect. I think it's more of a stylized 3D, this checkpoint. It did a great job. It took all the environments, it matched everything, and just basically what you want in a restyle. So what do we do if we really want to completely restyle this? Like, I don't even really want the same overall look of this main source image. So that's when we can use this last method, which is going to build on top of the blend video method. So what I'll do is I'll zoom out here, and I want it to be a complete restyle. So I'm going to actually force more stylization by adding an IP adapter. An IP adapter generally goes on the model line, which is these purple dot, this purple line here. But since it's kind of very cluttered up here, I'm just going to add them down here. All we have here is the IP adapter advanced and the unified loader. Model goes to model, IP adapter goes to IP adapter. That's really all we need. We're going to add an image here. So I'll choose load image, and I'm going to set the weight pretty high so that we actually see the difference. And then we just add this into the model line. This will come here. This will go here. And I'm going to choose our style image. So I chose this as our style reference image. It is kind of an anime style, but it's got a lot of detail, completely different armor. It's got more of a sci-fi look, and very different from what our source image would be, which is just a modern regular look. Now, even though I set this weight to 1, I don't expect it to be much changes. And even if I change this checkpoint to a checkpoint that is more suited for sci-fi, so for example, I'll use this cyber realistic 2.5D, we probably won't see many changes, and I'll show you why in a sec. But in order to do that, let me add an image preview here. And all this is going to do is show us what is happening in this preprocessor, which is called realistic lineart, and then that's going into our control net. Let's queue this up and we'll see if it's similar to what we already have. Okay, so here are our results, and as you can see, it's pretty similar. We got a little bit of change in the environment, so it doesn't look like a city anymore. You are getting some of this rocky terrain, which is nice. But we didn't get any armor or anything. Her clothes are basically exactly the same. And the reason why that's happening is, that's why I put this preview image down. So the realistic line art control net, it's infusing all of these details into your output image. And those details include some of these like background images. It includes this vest, all these line detail. It includes, you know, the placement of her hands and hair. And that's really good if you just want to do a straight restyle into toon effect, right? But it's not really good if we want to change her clothing or we want to change the environment. What we're going to do is change this control net. It's also important to know what's going on in the other control net, which is this tile control net. I didn't put a preview image here because all it's doing whenever you use tile is it's using this image as reference for the output. And the more strength that you put onto it, the more it's going to look like your input. So if the original creator of this workflow had set this to 1.1, you would get exact copy of this basically, which is not what we want. So if you're not getting enough change, it may be that your tile's too high, and you may be that your secondary control net, it's just giving you details that you don't want it to give you. So what I'm going to do to fight that is I'm going to change this from realistic line art to a pose. There's DW pose estimator and openpose. For our purposes, these are basically exactly the same. I'll use the openpose and I'll replace where line art is going. We could change the preview image to here so that we can see what the openpose is doing. And then I'm going to set this into the control net instead. And then we'll just also have to change the control net itself. So right now this is using the line art control net. I'm going to change it to the pose control net, which is right here, open pose. The other thing I want to do is I don't want as much influence from the input image. So I'm going to lower this quite a bit in the tile control net. So let's like half this or significantly reduce it. Okay, let's run this again and see what we get. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, so we're starting to see how in the flickering version, we can kind of see how the armor is becoming what I was hoping it would be, but in the blended version, it's kind of infusing too much of the original image back in. Like the face looks good and the hair looks good, and even the background looks good, but just her clothing is combining too much with the original version. And that's kind of the downside of the blend node. Like, this smooth blend is taking a lot of input from this original frame. So our last resort to combat this is to no longer rely on the smooth video node. We kind of are at our limit of how much this can push us. We'll have to use an animatediff node and just smooth out this image instead of relying on the smooth blend node. So in order to do that, what we'll do is go here. We'll add in the animatediff nodes, and I had saved this as a shortcut, but all you need to do is throw down the evolve sampling node. If you drag out the context options, you get this, and the M models, you get this. I like to use multival, and we'll probably use this checkpoint. Multival in animatediff, it kind of adds noise to give motion to your image, and if you had put in an input of like a still image, this would make more sense because you want the still image to vary more. But since we're inputting a moving video, this doesn't really help us. So I'm going to turn this down by quite a lot. We'll plug the model line into here and then recontinue it out here. So now our model is coming out of the loras, going into the IP adapter, going through the animatediff, and then hitting the K sampler. Now there's a couple of things that we have to change about, because now we're using the animatediff node. First of all, we have to get rid of all these batch nodes. The batch nodes converts a single image into, multiple, and that works perfectly for the smooth video node, and it's much faster. But since we're using this, we need to disable them, otherwise it'll break. So there's 3 batch nodes. One is up here, right as the image goes into the control nets. So I will disable that one. There's another rebatch latents right here. We can bypass that. And there's also another image list to batch right here. So we bypass that. The other thing is there are some LCM settings in evolve sampling. There's also this LCM T2V node, but I haven't gotten great results with that. So I'm actually going to disable all the LCM nodes, which is going to add significant VRAM and like render time to our generation. So this is definitely the pitfall of using this method. It's much more VRAM dependent and it's much slower. Let's disable these LCM nodes, which is this and this. And lastly, the sampler over here, the K sampler, needs to be changed with the animatediff. I will increase the steps to double. The CFG can go significantly higher. We'll use a couple of these. I always like to start with this one, and the schedule will be Karas. Let's try this first and see what we get. All right, let's see what we've got. So this is exactly what I was hoping for. As you can see, we have the smooth node because it relies on the input image, and we don't really want so much from the input image. It doesn't really work in this situation. So we have to use the animatediff, but as you can see, it translates really nicely. We get a nice stylization. We completely changed the look of her clothing and her background. This came out really nicely. There are a few things that I forgot to update you on. First is I actually had turned this multival too low. The first version, I turned it to 0.1. She wasn't matching the movement too well because she was too slow. So I turned that up to 1. I also had to show you what openpose is doing. I forgot I put this preview node here to actually compare to the realistic line art. And what you can see here is on every frame, it's giving you this stick figure outline. This is, instead of all the lines, which was including her vest and some of the other things, it's really just getting her basic hand position, face position, and face direction and movement, and her body position. And that's what's driving the control net instead of, the line work that makes up her vest or the outlines. And that's like, we're able to maintain the movement, but we're able to change her outfit. It's also worth noting, like animatediff, the background is kind of in flux, but that's just kind of what you get with animatediff in its current state. So I kind of like it. We'll leave that for now. I'm not going to try to like lock that down, but you could lock it down with a different control net that incorporates the background. That's basically your other option. Or you could add a third control net if your computer can handle it and try to lock down some of these background elements so it doesn't flicker as much. So that's all for today. Whether you're after a really fast, easy setup with diffutoon, something balanced like the fastblend, or you need the detail and control of animatediff and ipadapter with controlnets. Now you have some options depending on your creative needs and your hardware. I definitely encourage you to try out each method and see which fits best, and have fun experimenting with these pretty awesome tools. And if you're an AI creative that's interested in these kinds of videos, please give me a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.